Welcome, everybody, and thank you for listening. I've got Mark Knight coming up, but before that, I just want to remind you that if you haven't yet done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all my latest interviews. I've got some really interesting guests on deck that I hope people will enjoy, or it will be a colossal failure. But I'll be like that band on the Titanic. Like, I'm going to go down with the sinking ship if it happens. So, speaking of bands, Bang Tango, really underrated band. They came out in the 80s on that Sunset Strip scene, but they really had kind of a different sound. They had elements of funk and R&B, and I really think they could have transitioned to that 90s alternative in the way like bands like Faith No More and Red Hot Chili Peppers did. And there's a whole story about the band, and we'll talk a little bit about that today with Mark, but what you should really do is go on YouTube and watch the Bang Tango movie for free. It's called Attack of Life. It was directed by Drew Fortier, who I've had on the show. And check that out. It's really interesting. But anyways, after Bang Tango ended, Mark started doing woodworking stuff, which is interesting to me. And so we talk a little bit about that. And of course, then he did his music at night. And he started to do more of the kind of singer-songwriter stuff. And he's actually put out, like, I think he said 8 or 9 albums after Bang Tango, including his newest solo record, which is called Days of a Dreamer. And it's under Mark Knight and the Unsung Heroes. So check that out. The website is in the show notes. And I'll let Mark tell you more about that, plus Bang Tango and more. Check it out. Welcome, Mark Knight, to the Chuck Shoot Podcast. How you doing?
Great. How are you, Chuck?
Great. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. I just rewatched your movie just literally right before this, The Attack of Life. So I got the whole... but I'd already seen it, but I watched it again to kind of refresh my memory on some of that stuff.
Yeah, the wild documentary. Yeah.
Was it? You consider it wild?
There's just a lot of stuff on there that covered a lot of ground, a lot of different eras of the band, different people, and yeah, it was fun. I can't remember if I got this from the documentary or somewhere. I heard you talking about before Bang Tango, though. You were in some band called Mickey Knight. And you opened up for Poison. You got to tell me about that, because I interviewed Brian Forsyth from Kix, and he remembers like having Poison open for them when they were called Paris. And I remember him go, it was funny because he goes, yeah, they weren't very good back in the day. But I'm assuming when at this point they had gotten better. This wasn't in LA when they had CC DeVille, right? Yeah, but I would go see them before when they had, I think his name was Matt, the first guitar player.
Yeah.
And they got CC, and I was in a band called Mickey Knight. We came out of Sunset Strip band, kind of like my high school band, basically. I mean, we were kind of in our, late teens, early 20s. We had this band. It was doing pretty well. We were playing all the clubs. We opened up for Ratt. Who else? Poison, Wasp. All those kind of main headliners at the time.
And you're in high school?
No. It was kind of our band out of like my first band out of high school.
Okay.
Kind of the guys I went to high school with.
Were you 21 though? Because that's always interesting when you're playing in a band and you're playing a bar and you're not even 21.
Oh, we were like, I was playing the Troubadour when I was 16 in a band called Crude Witch, a metal band.
Really?
We'd open for Steeler and Wasp and some of those bands. And, we play the whole Sunset Strip when I was like 16, 17, 18. And the Mickey Knight was formed, 19, 20, 21, that era before, before the Bang Tango thing. There was another band there too called City Slick.
Right. Yeah. I heard about with Kyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the bass player.
Yeah. So we broke off from that, put Bang Tango together.
Yeah, it's interesting that so it was like you were friends with a guy from Rough Cut, and they had just auditioned, like, this is so smart. They auditioned like 300 singers, and you just said, hey, well, who were some of the best ones that you auditioned? That cuts out so much work for you, right?
I figured cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Here's was a buddy of mine. We'd see him in the clubs all the time, and I'm like, okay, they just tried all these cats out. We need a singer really bad. And I don't want to go through Cattle Call and all these different people. So he told me the two that were runner-ups that didn't make it, and he told me about Joe. And
who was the other one besides Joe?
Do you remember that band? What were they called? Johnny Crash.
No.
Johnny Crash was a band in Hollywood. They were kind of an AC/DC. I forget the singer's name. Riki. I forget his name.
Okay, singer Johnny Crash.
Yeah,
okay.
Johnny Crash was the band.
Okay,
and he was our second one we were going to consider, but but we went with Joe. We got Joe. We were fine. You know, we didn't even have to look anymore. So we didn't try out anybody. We just, he came down, and that's how it kind of came together.
Yeah. So then how'd you come up with the name Bang Tango? And do you still like that name, or do you feel like maybe you guys would have a different story if you had a different name?
I don't know. That name Joe came up with, actually.
Okay.
You know, he kind of put those words together and brought it into rehearsal. And I said, and the whole band just goes, yeah, that sounds cool for now. Let's just go with that. As long as people don't call us, you know, Wango Tango, you know, the Ted Nugent thing or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And he, you know, he has this story about how that name came together. And it, you know, has a dance feel, and it was heavy because it banged and we rocked and we were kind of funky and danceable. And that's kind of how he came up with that.
Yeah, so that's an interesting, because you said that you wrote a lot of 90% of the guitar riffs, I think you said, and you were a metalhead. You're listening to Ozzy and Maiden and Priest and all that stuff. So where did the funk and the R&B influences come from?
Joe really wanted to kind of bring in this kind of groove-oriented sound to the band.
Okay.
He wanted it to be somewhat danceable, I guess would be the word he was kind of using, or real grooving, so it wasn't just so straightforward rock. And you know, that with you know, the heavy edged riff stuff and the classic rock influence with you know, some of the rhythm section between Tig and Kyle, you know, they had that kind of funky Chili Peppers influence, and we just blended the sounds, you know, of you know, heavy riff rock, some later stuff got real heavy, you know, and then it was all over the place. So yeah, that's kind of how that came together.
Yeah, that's cool. And then, so you guys were like hanging out at the Cathouse. I'm always fascinated with stories about the Cathouse, because I never got to go. I was too young. But you said the Cult was there, and like Riki Rachtman like wouldn't let you guys play. He was the owner, obviously, of the Cathouse, and he was reluctant to let you guys play at first, but then you won him over. And now he loves you guys.
Yeah, back then, you know, that was kind of the story. I haven't talked to Riki Rachtman in 25 years. I don't know how much he loves us. No, I haven't seen him or talked to him in a long time. Maybe not that long, maybe 20 years. That's kind of how it went down. You know, I guess you know, we weren't quite in the Hollywood clique, you know, because some of the guys are from North Hollywood. And he was really tied into this immediate, like, kind of real Sunset Strip guys, like, you know, Fast Pussycat, obviously Taming was part of the Cathouse.
Right.
And, LA Guns, Guns N' Roses. So there was like this little tight knit thing, and we weren't quite in it in the beginning. And then I think he saw us somewhere at some gig. We opened for somebody, and he's like, "These guys sort of kick ass," or whatever. So then he gave us the gig, and then we were locals. I mean, we went there every Tuesday night, and then it moved to Bordello on Thursdays or whatever. We just became part of that whole scene, and he took a liking to us after we played and kicked ass for him a couple shows, and then he started, you know, whenever we kind of wanted to get up there, we'd all be out one night. We'd get up on stage and play a couple songs, you know.
Oh, it sounds like such a fun time. So tell me this story, like, of those days, like on the Sunset Strip. Is it true that you guys would get so drunk that you would have wrestling matches in the street?
Yeah. Did I say that? That's something.
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, we would rage.
That sounds painful with the pavement and the asphalt.
Well, we have our Bang Tango cool guy leather jackets on, man. We protect ourselves.
Okay.
So we just go out every night. We go somewhere. We go to Coconut Teaser Monday nights. We go to the Cathouse Tuesday nights. Wednesday nights, English Acid. Thursday nights would be the Rainbow Night. We'd all go there. Friday we'd probably be gigging or whatever. Even Sunday there was this place called I forget, 56 something. It was this club, and we all go there. So we just get, you know, we're a bunch of young dogs in the street. We were a gang, you know, we just get all buzzed and like just get into stuff and just wrestle and just dogpile and just be like just young guys, you know.
How did you go out every night? Doesn't that get expensive? Did you guys have to work day jobs or something, or what did you?
We worked day jobs. Yeah, absolutely. And we'd get in free most of the time. And a lot of the people really took a liking to the band, so the clubs would let us in, and then we'd you know, we'd have enough money for a couple beers, and then people would buy us beers, and we just like however we could get by, you know.
Sounds like fun times. So it only took 9 months after the band formed, and then you guys got a record deal. Did you have like a goal of getting a record deal within a certain time, or was it the goal just, hey, let's see how big we can get this band and see what happens?
We didn't have a time limit. We just basically wanted to take a kind of a back route to this instead of, you know, doing all these showcases, or, you know, we weren't or like, pay to play was going on a lot. So a lot of bands were pay to play. They'd get like, the more people you'd have to your club shows, the more interest you'd get from labels. And that was like kind of the way people were getting record deals. They'd have 200-300 people, they'd sell out and they'd still want to get deals, but they would get interest, like Poison and Warrant and those type of bands. We did this back route where we got a lawyer, entertainment lawyer, that just basically said, you guys play as much as you possibly can anywhere, Club Laundry, and get up on stage, do this thing called Reuben Blue Nights, where he'd have bands play 3 songs and then there'd be like 10 bands. And he would bring these industry people down and get them down to the club for like, 15 minutes to come see us. So we took this back route rather than doing the pay to play. And that's kind of, that's how we did it. It was different. And that's why it happened so fast. Cause he got interest by doing these like pop-up shows. Like we'd be out doing our day job and he'd be like, you guys are playing Club Laundry at 9:00 tonight. Just get down there. I got blah, blah, blah.
This lawyer guy, was he like a fan? He like reached out to you, or how do you come across a lawyer?
Was his name. And Joe kind of like somehow met him or met somebody that through him. I think we had this one woman that managed us. She was like kind of a beginner manager, and she knew him, and we just networked. He did a lot of talking. He didn't have a day job. He'd sit on the phone and call people all day and drink coffee and get people.
Joe?
Riled. Yeah.
Joe? Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So he hustled it, in the beginning.
That's really cool. So then you guys record the Psycho Cafe album near Austin, Texas, I think it was. And it sounds like it was spring break. So there's craziness going on. And so Howard Benson, who's a really famous producer now, I heard you say, or Joe say, that he was putting him through 12 or 13 hours a day of recording. I mean, so was this like stressful recording an album, or is it fun, or is it both?
Well, there's a lot of pressure, because you're trying to this was our debut record. And he basically took us out of LA and flew us out to Austin, Texas to do this record. Howard Benson, it was one of his first bands. So he was like cutting his teeth on us and trying to get his career kickstarted.
Sure.
So it was really interesting. We went out to Austin, Texas, these 5 guys from LA that were just like wild and crazy coming off the Sunset Strip. And we were all put into this one housing apartment, and we worked 13-hour days. Yeah. We were there for, I think, like 29 days. And we basically finished all the vocals, all the guitar, pretty much the entire record was done there. And then we brought it back to LA and mixed it at Sunset Sound.
Wow. So is it, do you have weekends off, or is it still like just every day, 29 days in a row?
I think we worked every day, but not everybody's in the studio at the same time. Like it'd be like 2 days of vocals.
Is that because it's so expensive to rent those studios, so you kind of have to make use of it while you're there?
Yeah, it's like a block rate, and I think we blocked it out for like a month or something, and they had to pay for our housing, and it was kind of expensive, so we just had to use that time wisely and just go at it.
Yeah. So then you record the video for Someone Like You. And I forgot this story. I just noticed this in the movie, that Shelley Duvall from The Shining, the actress, was dating the director, and she came over with like a case of beer and got you guys kind of drunk before the recording of the video.
Yeah, when we were there, it was a long day. We shot for Someone Like You. Mike Stein is his name, I think, the guy that directed it. And we had worked really hard. And it was really crazy because each guy had to perform separately. That's how they shot this video. So everybody in the band was like hoping the next guy would like do their job and like shine. And so I went first because I do the intro and stuff. And I was just like, all right, here we go. And it was this wild, you've seen the video. It's neon lights and stuff. So anyways, each guy had done their performance. Joe got up there at the end and just kicked ass. We're like, whoa, man, he was great. And the whole thing was a lot of fun. And then she came by and had brought like a case of Tecate Mexican beer. And we just like whooped it up. But I mean, at that point, we'd already got the most of the work handled. So it was just fun. Yeah.
Nice. So then, you do these, you did some club tours, Bulletboys, Brittany Fox, Badlands, but opening for Cheap Trick. Was that the highlight? Was that your favorite tour of that time? Or do you like the smaller club gigs better?
Oh, probably the funnest tour we did was with Bulletboys, because they were kind of like coming out of the same scene we were, same kind of audience, and they'd push us every night and we'd push them. We just had a blast with them. That's when they were like, we were all just partying so hard. It was crazy. So we did like 3 weeks with them. It was super fun. And then we were trying to get these arena opening slots, but management couldn't make it happen. You know, we wanted to go out with like, you know, anybody that was like the Cult or any of those bands. And we just couldn't get those big shows, and we were getting frustrated. And then we landed the one with Cheap Trick, and we love Cheap Trick. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, rock and roll. But it was kind of this more adult contemporary kind of audience. They were older, and we went out, and it was fun, but it was kind of like we wanted to be around the same kind of bands that were striving, or bands that were at like the Ratt level, like
right?
Or something.
Because there's an age gap there. You guys are kind of in this young 20-something crazy like party mode,
right? And they put us out with this band called Bad English, which was like complete.
Oh yeah, that's like a pop band.
Weirdness. You know, the guy, you know, Neil Sean from Journey, and Tom Waits from The Babies, and they were just a super pop, like adult contemporary, like, you know, people sitting down all like, and we were just like, we're like ready to rip up the stage. And we did like 3 weeks with them, and that was awkward. It was just the wrong band for us.
That seems like a weird mix. So then the second album, Dancing on Coals, you guys got a different producer, because I think Howard said, well, he didn't hear like a hit on the record. Do you think that you should have gone back in hindsight and maybe tried to do like a Janie Lane with Cherry Pie and try to like create a hit song, or are you proud of the way the album turned out?
Well, you know, that's not exactly the way it went down. What was happening is we went back in with Howard to do the next record, and, you know, we had written maybe 15, 20 songs. He didn't hear any good song. He just didn't like any of the songs. It wasn't like a hit. He just wanted songs with the quality of Psycho Cafe. And he just didn't feel that we had them, or any of them. I don't think, maybe one or two, but I don't even remember. And we were just getting frustrated because we felt we had some good songs, and we were working really hard to kind of come up with these songs. And it was getting frustrated because we were just kind of getting shut down by Howard, not really digging what we were doing. And I think at that point, something got weird. I don't know the exact detail, but we ended up just, you know, kind of passing on Howard at the time, and he kind of wasn't sure about us. He just didn't think we had it. So we kind of both kind of went our separate ways, I guess you could say. So then we were in a hunt for a new producer, and John Jansen had done Cinderella and at the time Faster Pussycat. And he had worked with some great classic rock guys from the past. Like, you know, he mixed some Hendrix stuff and Clapton, and we were kind of wanting to go more kind of that direction anyway. So we really had to like court him to basically to do the record.
Sure.
And, you know, he wouldn't commit. So me and Joe flew out to New Jersey, and he was doing Cinderella, and we went to the studio and we hung out with him. We were just like, come on, man. Like, we want you to do the record. And he's like, well, he wasn't giving us an answer, but he wasn't saying no. So we went out and had dinner, and we talked and stuff. And then he was kind of coming around, seemed like he was going to like at least bite at it. And he said, all right, send me your recording, live recording, rehearsal recording. So I think we sent him like literally like 40 songs, because we had been working the entire summer. We were working like 6-hour days, no days off in rehearsal. 6-hour days, not six. Yeah. And it was just, we came up with all these songs, and he finally decided to do the record. He came out to LA, and then we narrowed it down to like 14 or whatever, but it was a long process.
Yeah. So, and then you were kind of going for a different sound a little bit, like Dancing on Coals. It has like the saxophone and the keys in it. Now, you didn't do that live with that stuff, right? You just leave those parts out and just play it stripped down?
Yeah. It was real stripped down and edgy and rock, you know, really grungier. You know, we wanted to go big production. We wanted to bring in horns, and we wanted to bring in, you know, we had the Rolling Stones background singers. We had Uptown Horns play on it. We brought in additional keyboard players, all sorts of stuff. We made this big production because we had a little bit of budget, so we could really kind of expand. And we were going for like this big Rolling Stones production kind of thing. I think me and Joe were really into that at the time and wanting to go that way. And you know, it kind of came out a little bit too slick for some of the fans as far as the final production, if you listen to it. And it's funny because I've been playing the stuff again because we're talking about maybe doing stuff soon again, and it is really slick compared to Psycho Cafe. I mean, and it's more funky driven. Like the bass is way up more. I mean, that's kind of how John Jansen heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I heard you say something. This is interesting that people don't talk about a lot with guitar players, but I think it was around this time, or maybe it was another tour. You had developed calluses so bad on your hands from playing the guitar that you put a lit cigarette out on your hand.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
When we were doing Dancing on Coals, we went to the first one. We went to Austin, like we talked about.
Yeah.
Dancing on Coals. They flew us to New Jersey to do that one. So same thing. We all went to New Jersey in this house, and literally, we would have nothing to do all day. So I'd play like 13 hours a day. I'd just sit there in woodshed and just play to like every record, every guitar player and I developed these calluses that were so dense that we were out at a club one night and we were talking to some girls or whatever, and I'm like, check this out. And I took the cigarette, boom, put it out. That's how callous that my fingers were.
That's crazy. Yeah. Is that pretty common for guitar players in like professional bands at that time?
My fingers were literally like sawed off. Like they're flattened out from playing for so many years.
Wow.
Like if you look at this hand, they're all rounded.
Yeah.
Like normal people.
Okay.
This hand, they're like, it's like somebody took a file to my finger. And sometimes I look, man, I play so much. I've been playing 40 some odd years. So you just like, you lose part of your fingertips, but it becomes a callus,
Interesting. So also around this time, you got this record going out, and you guys are getting some really good reviews for it. So you went into the record. What is the story like? You went into the suits at the record label, and you had like this stack of magazines from the UK, and everything's saying like you guys are underrated, and you kind of like giving them the shit about like you guys need to do something with this record and promote it better. And so their answer was to release another live record. That seems to be like a big misstep by them.
Yeah, I mean, you just nailed it. That was the exact story. We were like on this UK tour, and people were going crazy. We were like trying to start riots so that our label would be like, we got to do something with these guys. I mean, because we had the fan, we had magazines, and went in, we set this meeting up, and all the guys went in, and I think everybody but Kyle wasn't there. And we went in and we brought this stack. Joe brought this stack of magazines. And we're like, man, you guys got to get behind us and push us. And we were like ripping on MCA. We were like going at them. It was pretty gnarly. And we came out of there and we were thinking to do a video for Midnight Struck off Dancing on Coals. That was the plan. We came out of there and we got a call that they wanted to do another live record and kind of do this weird, kind of how we broke Psycho Cafe with the Love Injection record. They were trying to repeat that pattern or something. And we're like, what? They're like, we're working a record right now. Why do you want to go in and do a live? Yeah. What the idea was to do like this live record with a version of Midnight Struck on it, which will be like the Midnight Struck release with this live record. They come up with these crazy ideas. And we were just like, well, all right.
Well, because it sounds like MCA didn't really know how to handle rock bands. They had more like pop acts, right?
Well, they're known for that. They're known for not knowing how to break a rock band. I think Tom Petty, they broke him, but he went and fought them tooth and nail at the end there. But yeah, they were more of a pop kind of label. They weren't known for breaking rock bands. And we always would go in there and be like, we want to be your rock band, man. We're going to be the ones that give you a name. And they were like, yeah. And then they were just like there were so many people involved with Bang Tango too, like the A&R guys, the management team, the lawyer. So many like people were, plus we had the subsidiary label called Mechanics, which was MCA Mechanics, which was our label actually.
Okay.
Steve Sinclair, he signed us and his ideas were different from actually MCA. So there were all these mix of interest kind of, and we just kind of got lost in that shuffle, I think, a little bit.
But then you did finally get the arena tour with Ratt and LA Guns, but unfortunately it only lasted 2 weeks. Yeah, they canceled it after 2 weeks because people weren't showing up.
Yeah, we went out and started booking like 10,000 seat arenas and stuff. And, Ratt at the time thought was doable. And LA Guns, and they had this thing Contraband, which was Michael Schenker, and he was in this part of this like kind of super group involved with these guys. And they put this package together, and they booked like giant, like, you know, huge stadiums all over the country. And I mean, for us, it was like going to Disneyland every day. It was the best time of our life. And we were
really
freaking out. It was so great, man. We go out there. First show was pretty good. There were like maybe 5,000 or 6,000. And then it just started petering. And then like 2 weeks out, we get this call from our management. They're like, they're pulling the plug on the whole tour, but they're keeping the LA dates at Irvine Meadows. So we were just devastated. We were like, what? We're going home? We're just getting going. It was like literally the funnest time ever in my career playing music, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. We only have to play a half hour. You know, we'd go up there and just rock the hell out of the place. Then we'd hang out with all the bands, and we'd come out at the end, and, you know, it was just a lot of fun. And, you know, we were playing really well at the time. And, yeah, that was into that.
Are you still friends with those guys?
Some of the LA Guns guys, I am. The Ratt guys, I never got to really know that well. They were the big headliners, and we didn't really spend a whole lot of time hanging with them. But like, you know, Kelly Nichols is a bro of mine. Tracy was always cool. You know, they were cool. LA Guns was real cool to us. Ratt was just a little bit, they were like in their bubble, you know. Go back to their dressing room.
My cat wants to say hi.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, you have cats too, right?
Got 3 cats. Yeah.
So, another friendship. I thought this was interesting. You were friends with like Alice in Chains. I always hear stories about Alice in Chains. They were kind of like a strip band for a while. And is it true that you and Joe co-wrote a song with them?
Yeah.
It's
called Hear the Voices, and it made the box set.
Okay, because I looked at that. I think is it called Fear the Voices? Because there's one. But it says you guys aren't credited on that.
No, we didn't get credited. This is what happened. Me and Mike Starr was a friend of ours, the bass player, because Joe actually dated his sister at the time, and he would hang out with us all the time. So he came to rehearsal one day. They were in LA doing that record Dirt, and Mike Starr came to a Bang Tango rehearsal, and he was kind of hunting around for some ideas. He like wanted to bring a song to the band in a sense, you know. So after rehearsal, me and Joe and Mike just hung out, and we put that song together, and then he brought that back to the band, and then they wrote it up, and then we got a special thanks on Dirt. That was really
well, that's cool.
You look on the back of Dirt on the special thanks. Me and Joe are on that, our names.
Oh, that's cool. So then the third record, which I guess I just now am learning about this and hearing it. It's on YouTube. Love After Death. You say that's your best work in Bang Tango. Howard came back to produce it. But then, of course, again, the record label, they don't know what they're doing. They shelved it. Do you think in a way, like maybe some of your success hurt you prior, like as Bang Tango, because then you were kind of labeled in this, like maybe if Bang Tango was more of an indie band, and then that was your big, jump into the major label records, that maybe you would have been more successful. Kind of like Pantera. Pantera was a glam rock band, but they were kind of not known as a glam rock band. Then their first album on a major label was Cowboys from Hell.
I don't think we were ever like really a glam band. I mean, if you ever saw Bang Tango live back when we started, you'd be like, they're down and dirty, and we were heavy. You know, I mean, the stuff we played off Psycho Cafe was a lot more heavier live than it even is on that recording. But you know, we were misconceived in so many different ways partly because of the way we were photographed. Sometimes, you know, we look gothic, or we look made up, or we look glammy, or whatever it was that they wanted to put us in.
So was that the record label doing that, like putting you in those costumes and things?
I think it was partly us wanting to do it too. I mean, we had we go through all these different kind of styles, you know, and some of it was kind of a little bit over the top. I mean, some of the guys, you know, would dress up a little bit more than others, and it could look very glam at some point. I mean, not all of us, but some of us, or whoever was like, you know, doing the makeup that day, or whatever the theme was that maybe we decided, or the label decided. But we were never like a made up band. We always did what we wanted to do, but sometimes it would get a little glammy, I guess. So, but honestly, we were a pretty stripped down, dirty rock band, you know, when it came down to it. And if you ever saw us back then, and even like the Dance on Coals stuff, especially, we would play a lot heavier live. And then New Generation, we just took that over the top. Love After Death, New Generation is the song.
Yeah.
Love After Death, we really went heavy. We were really, drop D tunings. We really wanted to just kind of just kick some ass. I don't know. It was the time, the whole kind of grunge thing was kind of coming in, and we felt we were kind of associated with that in a sense with the Alice in Chains guys. And, to be honest with you, Alice in Chains and Mother Love Bone opened for Bang Tango on our first tour.
Oh man, that would be an amazing show to see.
They went on at like 8 o'clock. And they were these kids, and then Mother Love Bone, them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they were the second band, and then Bang Tango was the headliner. So there's this weird affiliation between the Seattle scene a little bit and Bang Tango. We weren't foreign to it. We felt we were kind of a little part of it, even though some of those bands probably couldn't stand us, because we were from Hollywood. But that sound was leaning towards more of that kind of vibe, that Love After Death record.
Yeah. And so the record was released in the UK. So you guys got to do a tour in Europe. But I think it sounds like at that point you were kind of just over the band. You said that you played a guitar solo out of key to see if anyone would notice, and no one noticed.
Research, man, you really did some research. Yeah, man. Yeah. At that point, we had lost Kyle Stevens. He had left the band a year earlier.
Yeah.
And it was just getting really like disheartening. Like, and I was also going into this whole singer-songwriter trip, and I was like living in Malibu on the beach and just like finding my whole new trip that I was like, and I was getting kind of tired of super loud, over the top, rehearsals and live gigs with this band, with Bang Tango. And I just felt like nobody was really caring much about the sound anymore. Like, so we were out on this tour, and it was to the point where I could tell nobody in the band was even listening to each other. So I just went for it and did this solo, like a whole step down or some weird thing, just to see if any of the guys noticed. Nobody said one thing. So I'm like, all right, you guys aren't even listening to each other. Nobody seemed to care at that point.
Yeah.
One gig we did this gig up in Scotland, and there was a band that was kind of happening out there. And for some reason they got the headlining spot over us, and we were the headliners. We were on tour in Europe, and Joe wasn't too pleased with it. So he came in to like sound check or something. He said, "We're just doing all covers tonight. We're not doing it." We did like one Bang Tango song.
Really?
We did like 20th Century Boy. We did like
and you guys knew all these covers already? You'd already played them?
Because we had collected them over the years.
Okay.
Like Cowboy Song, Thin Lizzy. We did like a Hanoi Rock song or something. We did all like only like 5. We only played like 6 songs, I think. We did like 5 covers, and then we did like Someone Like You, or one of our songs. And we got off stage, and man, people were just yelling at us, hounding us. Well, fuck you, man. You guys didn't even play any of your own songs. And it was
wow.
It was like really getting dark on that tour. So it ended up, we came off of that, and the band just went weird and kind of
yeah. So then, and then Joe, he later reformed the band and reached out to you, but you declined, because then that's when you started doing the singer-songwriter stuff and acoustic shows. And I think you had a band, Worry Beads, and then you went solo with the Young Sung Heroes, and you wrote all these songs, and you toured. You toured on these songs on the South?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I toured a lot. Well, back to that thing with Joe. 6 months had gone by. And then all of a sudden I get this call from him, and he's like, "Hey man, do you want to play guitar in the band again?" I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, I put the band back together again. We're opening up for Tesla." And I'm like, "Well, who's in it?" And there were no original members. No Kyle, no Tig, nobody. And he's like, "But I thought I'd ask you, man. I felt, you deserved a shot," or something like that, to play. I'm like, "What? You're asking me if I can play in my own band?" Okay, well, I kind of took it like, what the hell is this? So I just bowed out and said, "Nah, I'm not interested."
And but did you kind of give him your blessing to continue on with the name and all that?
Not really. I wasn't like.
But you didn't fight it either.
No, you know what? I'd fight it when he put out ads that he was playing with all the original members in the ad. Like, I'd see it in the paper and be all picture of all the original guys. Bang Tango's playing in the Roxy. I'd be like, I'd call him up and be like, "You can't use my picture. None of us are even in the band." So that would bother me.
Okay.
There was some friction there, but eventually I just didn't care, really. I was like, whatever. I think Kyle eventually went back and played with them again. They did some stuff. They actually did some live record or something, and he toured on one of those tours. But I was just totally over it. I just was doing my trip, like completely not even interested in it at all. I didn't even want to really play the music anymore. I was just doing a whole new thing.
Yeah. So you're doing the singer-songwriting thing, and then, or did I hear that you do like woodworking and painting as like a side business? Is this like artistic stuff, or is this more just like building cabinets and things?
No. I got into so basically when the band broke up, I needed to make some money. I just got married, trying to do this new singer-songwriter trip, trying to put a band together. I need to make money, and I didn't want to get a job. My wife's like, you got to get it. My ex-wife, she was trying to get me to get a job, and I'm like, no. So I started making antique frames out of old barnwood, like these little picture frames. I didn't even have a tool to my name. But Kyle Stevens had a woodworking business because he had quit the band and started a complete furniture company and stuff. So he taught me how to make these little frames, and then I started collecting barnwood, and then I'd start selling to all the the neighbors and the whatever, and I started this business called Night Crafts, and I turned my garage into a wood shop and made a living at it. And then I got into antique and faux painting, and got into the painting end of it to make things look old, so I didn't have to always find the old wood, and started painting people's furniture. And then it went to painting walls, to building giant, so I just build bigger furniture, and I got pretty good at it and started doing pretty well for a while. So that pretty much made a living while I would do my music at night.
Okay. That doesn't sound so bad. I mean, so you're able to just work by yourself. You don't have a boss telling you what to do and everything. Doesn't sound so bad.
I did it all myself. I'd get a company want me to make jewelry stands out of wood. I'd make 100 of them or something. And I hired my buddy, we called him Big Scott. He actually was my guitar tech for a while. So he came to work for me. So it was just me and him in the garage. We'd crank music up and just fire up the tools. And every day we'd work long days, and then we'd do the music at night.
That doesn't sound like a bad life at all. That sounds great. Fun. Are you still living in Malibu at this point? Because that sounds even like more.
I just left Malibu and moved to the Valley again because I'd gotten married, and the ex-wife wanted to move into a house, and I would have been fine living on the beach still in an apartment. But so, that's where it all started. Yeah. Yeah.
So then, and I like this because, you're in Bang Tango and you're a metalhead, right? You're listening to Maiden and Priest and Def Leppard, but now, this is just like life. I feel like you get a little older, you start listening to different kinds of music. I did the same thing, and you start getting influenced more by Tom Petty and Steve Earle and Elliott Smith. I think you said your daughter was a big fan, and you like him too. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah. I got into so many different styles of singer-songwriters back then. I was dipping into all sorts of stuff. And Elliott Smith was one of my favorites in that time around, 96 or something. But, I got into this whole different kind of almost alternative countrified, alternative country, blues, all this mixture of different stuff, as well as I got into the whole jam band scene. I was friends with Matt Apps from Government Mule, started playing with him, Dwayne Betts, Dickie Betts' son. I met all these people, and I was kind of doing this combination of real rootsy Americana jam band stuff with the band. And Tig was in the band from Bang Tango, and we go through a bunch of different members in Worry Beads, and that lasted for a while. And then eventually that broke up. Kyle Stevens even came into Worry Beads.
Okay.
I'll just tell you the whole quick story of the music. So then it became Gravy. I did this kind of funky band called Gravy. We did one record. We played 50 shows in LA one year. And then I started, going back to, I just decided to do my own thing, because I felt like I was carrying the lion's share of the work in any band I was in. I was writing everything, booking everything. And then I wasn't getting the commitment out of the guys as much. And so I just decided to use my own name. And I played a couple shows, just Mark Knight with Matt Apps from Government Mule. We did this tour. And, but during that period of time, I did a lot of touring in the South. I go out there with Worry Beads. I go out there solo acoustic. Mark Chmalia, the guitar player that was with me for a long time throughout those gigs and years, he'd go out with me. And then eventually I did the Mark Knight record, Bone Rail Tight. And that was I did another one called Perfect American Family, this little EP, but the Bone Rail Tight record was my first full length electrified band. And I brought in my friends, Tony Marsico and Matt Apps to be the rhythm section. And I brought in special guests. And then after that, we did a tour off of that. And then I wanted to put a band together again. So I thought of a name for the band. I figured the Unsung Heroes. And then that's how that band was formed.
Yeah. So then tell me about the new record, Days of a Dreamer. You said it started in 2018 and you recorded 2019. And the title song and the name of the album is just from just sitting around and writing songs and coming up with all these imaginary themes.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, so after that I did, I'll go back real quick. I did Roads to Guys, Unsung Heroes, first one.
Yeah.
Did another solo one called Mark Knight, just real acoustic. Then I did, in 2018, I did Don't Kill the Cat, which is the second Unsung Heroes full record.
Okay.
And then I've been writing, I'm always writing. So this newest one, I had collected all these songs between the release of Don't Kill the Cat, because I'd been writing through all those periods of time. And I just collected my favorite songs and put another one together. And that's what I did all of 2019 and 2020.
Right. The pandemic gave you more time to kind of fine tune the production.
I demoed all the songs. I demoed 15 songs. And then started recording. I mean, I had already been working on this record before Bang Tango reunited. So I had all these songs kind of already pretty much put together. But then we started to record them for real with the band, and then that's what I did through, once we had all those bed tracks, I did all the overdubs at my house throughout the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the first song on the record, I think that's my favorite, is Rusty Bones. It's like kind of a heavy rocker, but it's also really catchy. And then another song that's interesting, Wise Choice. I felt like that reminds me, I don't know if you noticed this comparison too, but the opening kind of reminds me a little bit of Eric Clapton's Change the World.
Oh, really? Never heard that. Very cool.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of that. It's got the album's got a really good mix. It's kind of like I said, like Rusty Bones is so heavy, but then the other songs are a little bit more mellow, singer-songwriter type. What are your favorite songs off the record?
I like this song called Checking Out, which is kind of a deep cut. It's like number 9 or something. That's one of my favorites. I like Another Man's Woman's pretty rocking. That one's actually like pretty rocking too. Wise Choice, like Rusty Bones, of course. It's a good riff rocker. What else? Those are Days of a Dreamer and 1,000 Times. I mean, I like them all.
You like them all, right? Yeah, that's like it's like the worst question to ask somebody who wrote songs. Pick a favorite.
My babies. How do you favorite one, baby?
Exactly. So are you going to do a tour or do some live shows for this record?
I've been doing. I don't know if you've seen, but I do this thing called Pirates
Cove. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just acoustic thing. So I did all that through all the pandemic. And last week I did like a version for the Days of Dreamer where I play like 10 songs or something like 10 songs off of it. I'm going to do my actual first live gig to support this. It's just a acoustic show at a winery on the March 20th. So it's just me solo.
Yeah. Naboo Wines or something like that.
Yeah. No Band-Aid set yet. I haven't even played with the band in over a year.
So if you would do live shows, would it be all originals or would you throw in some covers or a Bang Tango song, or would it just?
Well, I've been doing live gigs with Unsung Heroes for years and I rarely do any Bang Tango stuff. No, it's usually just, I have so many records out that I put these sets together of, there's so much to choose from because I have, 9 records I've done in my career post Bang Tango. So,
sure.
I don't really do any Bang. I do sometimes. I'll throw in a Bang Tango song acoustic once in a while.
Yeah, because I mean, you tell me, but I would imagine there would be the occasional Bang Tango fan that shows up to your shows, like maybe even wearing a Bang Tango shirt. That's got to happen sometimes, right?
I got a great story on that one. That's a good
okay.
One.
Okay, good. I love good stories.
People have asked me that before. One thing I do, I think I did Attack Alive once for a little bit. I was playing that
acoustically.
No, electric with the band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just a while years ago, but but one time I played this place. It was this like local place we always played, and we pack it out pretty much. It's called the Six. It's in Calluses, California. And one night this guy was there and he was so hammered. I mean, he was out of his mind hammered, screaming to me to play Bang Tango. He was just literally yelling at me, going, someone like, come on, Mark, come on. And he was like in my face, yelling, come on, man, give us a play. What? And he was to the point where I had to stop the show and go, look, man, I'm not going to do someone like you tonight. It's not going to happen. So just stop. Right. So got to the point where they had to like escort the guy out, bring him out and take him out the back and just be like, you got to chill out, man. He was out of his mind and he wanted to hear Bang Tango. So that was, people ask me sometimes, that they'll shout it out or something, but I'll give it a nod or something, but I really don't do the songs.
Yeah.
Probably because I can't sing that high. I can't, he's way
right.
up there.
Yeah. Those are definitely hard songs to sing. So, but you guys did reform as Bang Tango and you did a show at the Whiskey. And then I think you said you're not going to do a tour, but maybe you would do like some festivals or something, or like maybe like a Monsters of Rock or something like that.
Well, basically we put the band together and we just want to do one solid show of the original band. It went real well. We sold out the Whiskey in Hollywood. Super great show. Everybody came out. It was family and friends. And, from there, we were just going to continue to play out through 2020. We weren't planning any big tours, unless something really, really cool came our way. It was more about just doing selective shows, kind of like fly-ins, they call them, where, fly into like DC and do a two-day run or some club. Or some bigger events would be like, if we could get on them, the festival type stuff. So that was kind of our plan. It wasn't going to be like, we're going to put the band in a van and travel around the country and play, every dive bar there is. And that was never the plan. It was just kind of like selective shows and then see where it goes. And it ended up, the pandemic shut that down. So that was just iced the band. And, that was it. For a year or so, and here we are.
So then are you going to try to do both? Are you going to try to do some Bang Tango shows and some solo shows, or? Yeah.
There's always time to do my own stuff, because like I said, the band isn't planning on being super busy, especially because no one can play, as you know, right now.
Yeah, sure.
But, I still don't see it as some band that's going to be like, so half these guys have their own businesses and have their jobs. And, but, it's kind of like, we'll wait and see what happens, but, there's still plenty of time for me to do all my solo stuff, and if we get back to playing live again and things go well with this record, then of course I'll do that. Probably I'll work my schedule out,
Cool.
Between the two bands. But answer your question. Yeah, well, I'll work both bands.
That's cool. Well, I hope to see. It'd be cool if you came to Phoenix and did a show, either as Bang Tango or if you do your solo stuff. I'll come check you out. That'd be fun.
Awesome.
I love live music. So yeah. So do you tour that far? Like if you do a tour, do you go to Arizona and other states like that?
I used, I did so many acoustic dates all over the South, like all the way to Atlanta. I did I played a lot in Kentucky and Tennessee and the Carolinas. So I've done all that region. I used to go out 3 times a year on these little tours, either with a band or by myself or with another guy acoustic. Mm-hmm. And then I've done, stuff along the West Coast as well. So yeah, that's not far. I would do something like that, for sure.
Cool. All right. That'd be fun. So I got to ask, what is the story with the hats? I noticed that you're always wearing hats now. When did that start with the singer-songwriter stuff?
I always wore hats in Bang Tango. Did you? Wore hats. Oh yeah. And you ever see the flame hat? The famous flame.
No, which one's the flame hat?
There's this hat that's like I used to wear it was a white flamed hat. It's like
I'll have to check that out.
I'll send you a picture of it.
Okay. That sounds fun.
I've always worn hats. And then I started wearing more of these different fedoras and different style hats when I did the singer-songwriter thing. It was
that's fun.
Kind of went with my thing. Yeah. And then I started collecting them. Then I started getting into like the different kinds of cowboy hats. And I don't know. It's always kind of a fun little accessory thing that kind of goes with the trip, I guess. Yeah.
That's cool. And then did I hear that your daughter has a musical career too? Scarlett Ray?
Yeah. So Scarlett Ray Knight, that's my daughter. She got she put out a record in this band called Rosedorn, got signed to an indie label and kick-started her career. And then she kind of went solo from that. And now she's basically she goes under Scarlett Ray now. She's basically doing what a lot of these younger bands do now is they'll do a video and a single and release them.
Mm-hmm.
She's got I think 3 videos. This newer one's called Parachute. She's in New York. She moved to New York. She's only 19, but she's super talented. She sang on Open Wounds on my record.
Oh, cool.
And she also directed my video for Wise Choice. I don't know if you've seen that. There's a video for Wise Choice.
No, I haven't seen that.
She directed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. That's really cool.
So yeah, she used to open for me. We play local bars.
Yeah. Didn't you say she started when she was 9 or something?
9 years old. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Little Mickey Mouse voice.
She must be talented though, that if she can play. I mean, I don't think I could even hold a guitar when I was 9 years old.
I mean, she just took to it. First time I saw her play the drums, she had this natural rhythm. I'm like, wait, we got to give you a guitar. Because we had a drum kit in the living room. And my older daughter, Lucy, I think she played a little drums and then she played guitar. And then Scarlett got on the drums one day and she had 4 on the floor in perfect time. And I'm like, what the hell? You got natural rhythm. So I gave her guitar and Lucy was playing way more, really wanted to be the guitar player, my oldest daughter. And Scarlett just comes out of the room a week later, strumming cool stuff on her own. I'm like, whoa. So I kind of took interest in that right away. And then she would just hang out with me a lot when she was really little.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be in the backyard writing songs and she'd always just come out and bring her guitar and hang and I never forced it on her. I never said, you got to learn this. You got to go to school and be a guitar player, take lessons. She just did it on her own. And
probably, yeah. Cause growing up with the music being around her, I'm sure there's an interest there for sure.
Yeah. I didn't force it on her. It wasn't like a stage dad. I'm going to turn you into a guitarist. She took a couple a year off, I think, when she was maybe 11 or 12, and then picked it up and got really into her own songwriting and then started writing her own lyrics. And then, now she's really doing great. Yeah.
That's great. So you don't force the music on her, but you're a Raiders fan and your wife is a Seahawks fan. So what team do you make your daughter root for?
Open up the books on us.
I'm a big Seahawks fan, so I noticed that.
Seahawks fan?
Yeah. I'm from Seattle originally, so.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Is your wife from Seattle or why she's?
No, she's not from Seattle. She's from LA. She got into it, I think, from a previous, somebody turned her on to the Seahawks before me.
Sure.
And she knew that I was into football. So she was just was a Seahawk fan just because that's a team she grabbed back then. And, and she refuses to hop to the Raiders. So I'm like, all right.
Well, they used to be rivals back in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that when you became a fan back in the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a Rams fan originally in the 70s because my dad, I grew up in LA. But then when the Rams left, I took to the Raiders kind of because they came to LA.
Yeah.
And then when they went to Oakland, I stayed with them, kind of got really behind them and used to go up there once a year with a group of guys.
That's cool. Cause I talk to so many musicians and a lot of them don't. I like sports. I like music. I like movies. So many musicians have no interest in sports. So I think that's cool. When I saw that, I was like, oh, he likes football. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only sport I really get in. I mean, I grew up surfing my whole life. So
yeah,
I'm like a California guy. So that's a sport, but it's not I don't, I'm not into the pro surfing.
Yeah. That's not one to watch. It's more one to do.
Yeah, exactly. But I love football. I got into that as a kid and I kind of took to it again with the Raiders and Oakland and that whole thing. And, the older you get, it gives you something to do around.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fun.
It's a social thing.
Then I got into it with some buddies that became Raider fans and I had this little group and we'd go watch them at the bars and that whole thing. And that's kind of how I took back to football. But a lot of musicians aren't big sports guys. And I have some musicians friends and they're just like, what are you talking about? And they have no interest.
Yeah. No, I know. I learned that real quick. Don't ask people about sports because unless I know, I see something about it. So cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I do like to end each episode with a charity. And I think you'd mentioned it's the ASPCA, which I don't know what that stands for, but it's for animals. I know that. And I love animals. So I love this charity.
It's basically a charity to protect the animals, and you know, it's animal rescue too. So it supports people rescuing the animals and also protecting them. So yeah, we're big animal freaks. Me and my wife Samantha, we've got 3 rescue cats, and it's just a good charity that if you can give to it, that's the one I would recommend.
Okay, I'll put that in the notes. I'll also put your website so if people want to check that out and grab your CD. Or did you say it was on vinyl yet, or
no vinyl, just CDs on the website at the store. Mark Knight and the UnsungHeroes.com is a store. And then I have some merch. I have posters that I've been selling, and Bang Tango picks from 2020, which are kind of
that's
rare.
cool.
Like signature on the back. Yeah.
You should sell those hats too, like with your signature or something. That would be cool.
Right. The hat boxes would be too expensive to ship.
Oh, the shipping. Right. Forgot. Okay.
But that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Mark, for doing this. I appreciate it.
All right, Chuck. Thanks for having me. Great to to get this done.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Have a good day.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
So many great stories in this episode. I hope you all enjoyed listening to them as much as I did. Make sure to follow Mark on social media and check out his new album at his website. Again, the link is in the show notes along with the charity website if you're feeling generous. And if you're really wanting to be charitable, you can follow me on social media or subscribe to the show wherever you listen. Hit me up and let me know what you think of the show. You can tell me to fuck off, or you tell me it's great. I've heard them both. So, and you can see the future episodes when you subscribe. So I've got some really fun guests scheduled, but I'm always open to new ideas, and I appreciate hearing suggestions from you guys. So thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day, and remember, shoot for the moon.